Hello everyone, Kevin Aller here with the Governor Rm Museum. We're going to start off our Maritime week with a discussion about wood carving on wooden boats. This is going to be the first of two segments, and in this segment I'm going to tell you about trailboards and name boards, which are the decorative pieces of a wooden vessel that often serve as its identification, have its name attached. On the wall behind me, high under the museum eaves, is an entire collection of mostly skipjack trailboards. And this, like many things, can often escape your notice in a museum visit because of how high up it is. Trailboards are examples of wood carving where the master woodcarver can really show off their skills. They would incorporate wonderful designs of ivy and oak leaves, shields, American flags and eagles. These are all the conventional designs that we see on Chesapeake trailboards. And then, of course, the gold leafing that really makes them glitter in the sunlight. These are things of beauty, but they also help identify the vessel. So you can see most of these that we have here are names. Could be names, places. These are all significant to the person who built the boat or to the person who bought the boat. Boat names can change over time. From top to bottom, we've got the Wilma Lee on the right side, the Vaughn, the Geneva May, the Little Jenny, and the Catherine. Take a close look at the Catherine. My coworker Lori has designed a trailboard making activity to do as a follow-up for this, and if you look at the way the Catherine is designed, we have the trailboard on my right here, and then the trailboard on the left side. See how they're mirror images of each other? That'll be useful for you if you do that activity. Beneath these trailboards, this unfinished wooden plank, almost extending the entire length of the wall. The SS George Washington. This is a name board. Name boards are not as elaborate as the trailboards. This one is wonderful because it gives you an idea of the scale of the ship that this came from. The SS George Washington was an ocean liner. It was a German-built ocean liner in the early 1900s. It carried thousands of people across the Atlantic between Europe and America. It served in World War I, it served in World War II, and eventually it was scrapped, caught fire, as happens to many ships. So this one is very impressive just in the scale of it, the size of it. I have another name board that I'm going to share a story with you. It's called the Governor Rm Mclean. We'll go downstairs to take a look at that one. Hello everyone. I'd like to share a story with you about the name board that is above me. It's one of the best stories we have for an object in the Governor Museum collection. This name board is for the Governor Rm Mclean, which was a steamboat that was built in 1884 and for most of its life was used as part of Maryland's state oyster police force. In the late 1800s on the Chesapeake Bay, there was a lot of violence, very violent times. We have this whole period that we call the Oyster Wars, where local watermen in Maryland, Virginia fought each other, fought the police in Maryland as they were trying to regulate the oyster trade. The Governor Rm Mclean was the flagship of Maryland's state oyster police force, the Oyster Navy, you can think of it that way. And it had basically a Gatling gun on the front of it. So you have this massive steam ship with a Gatling gun facing off against watermen in their smaller craft. Must have been very interesting times. Unfortunately for the Governor Rm Mclean, it fell out of use and sat and decayed and was a victim of fire, and eventually it was mostly scrapped. The remains of this boat are in the Baltimore Inner Harbor, resting right outside the Baltimore Museum of Industry. But before that, as it was all coming apart, the ship's cook, a man named Mr. Goff, who was a resident of Calvert County, took the name boards, and he came home to his church, which is 3 miles up the road from this museum, and they used the name boards as a walkway. The church in those days did not have electricity or running water, so there was an outhouse behind the church, and so people wouldn't get their feet muddy. They had these trail boards spanning that muddy depression behind the church. So it just sort of had been faced down all these years, and no one really knew what they were. It was just a way to make life very convenient. But it came out that these were valuable artifacts, and they were donated to the Calvert Marine Museum. We have this one on display right here. It's easy to pass by without seeing it, but it is one of the objects in our collection which has a very interesting story.